through the saints, through Our Lady, through our Lord, we prevail. Making this video just to kind of document my thoughts. I mean, this whole channel is to document things that have happened to us, things that have happened to other people, especially veterans, and our journey back from repatriation after some disasters overseas. And I started it, like I said in the last video, I deleted about 30 videos with the election. And it was a mistake. I acted out of fear, and that's never a good position to operate from. That was a mistake, which next time I will be stronger. And actually, I think it was more than 30. Anyway, it was a lot of videos. And, I have other videos uploaded that cover some of that topical matter, but not all 30 videos are covered. I covered some situations of ways that people are being hacked that we've encountered that I don't cover in these videos. And one I could actually talk about right now, and that is if you're in your apartment or your home. Well, home you wouldn't have to worry about it. You shouldn't. If you do have to worry about this in your home, that means somebody's violated the sanctity of your house. But in an apartment, condo, townhome, or duplex, if you see that there's a network around called hidden network, and you don't have any networks that are hidden, which means they're not broadcasting an SSID, but your phone or whatever recognizes that there's a Wi-Fi signature there, then, as I said before, somebody's violated the sanctity of your home, and they've installed something in your home. Or if you live in a place that, like a condo, apartment, townhome, your neighbors may have a private network. Either way, just keep in mind that this may be a method to target you. We've encountered this. Actually, it started the place we're at now. People are doing it. But at the last apartment complex we lived, they had hidden networks all over the complex. And I figured out there, when I saw people in the parking lot on their laptops or their tablets, they were logging into multiple networks so they could hack people. And usually you would find these are friends of tenants or former tenants. Because there we realized that the networks could be easily piggybacked. Some people were just blatantly fearless. They would have an open guest network that people could sit in their parking lot and they could log in. And then what they would do is they would layer networks. That way they can hack people and screw with people. And if they're using a proxy server along with this, it's virtually very difficult to trace. Very difficult. A proxy VPN server, very difficult to trace them. But if you see a hidden network and you don't have any hidden networks in your house, you might want consider looking into it, because it could be used to violate the sanctity of your home. But this video isn't about that. This video is about how, veterans, we're the only people that our health care is enshrined in U.S. code. And what they do is they try to turn it into a corporate game. That's how we come up with the VISN, the Veterans Integrated Service Networks, the VISNs. I forget exactly how many there are. I've said this in other videos. I think there's like 10 or 20. But what it is taking our care within maybe 2 or 3 states and turning it into a big HMO. And then you have a big corporate office of VISN headquarters where a bunch of corporate types work. Corporate types, which have very little connection to the VA. They're corporate type people. And that's how they integrate our care, which you would think is DOD similar. It's not. The VISN system has turned it into a giant HMO. It's nothing like DoD medical care with a chain of command. That's how they do the sleight of hand, and then they add the DBRS system so they can target you to make you shut your mouth, or they can threaten to take away your benefits, or have police, uh, follow you around because you're a threat, um, and humiliate you. From what I've seen about the DBRS system, it's only designed to humiliate people. And I've found that they give contractors and subcontractors the same right to use DBRS that is supposed to be reserved for VA direct appointees and VA contractors. I mean, contractors, not subcontractors who work for a company that works for a company that contracts with the VA. The VA contract physician and contract medical providers, they're direct contractors. They have a contract that says VA in the name of the whatever company they're working for. They're not like sleight of hand, like, oh yeah, I work for this company that's contracted to this company that is contracted to the VA. A sub or subcontractor. And the farther you get away from the original source, you'll find the less vetting. Which is why I found people in Saginaw that have criminal records. Albeit it's not violent, still it's a concern. If somebody has repeat, offenses regarding certain issues, um, it kind of goes as to their reputation and as to their character. Um, you know, Even repeat moving violations, that shows as to somebody's character. Oh, so you like to rush. Oh, so, or, oh, yeah, so you tend to get irritated and you get into verbal confrontations with people that the police have to break them up. Oh, stuff like that. Or, oh, I see you have repeat cases where you're suing men or women you're in a relationship with. You keep suing them. Okay, so just some stuff is kind of inconsequential. Other stuff goes to as character. Oh, I see you have repeat misdemeanor shoplifting. Oh, I was in college. Yeah, but you're an adult. Oh, what's this? Oh, repeated public intoxication. Yeah, but it was never charged. Oh, so anyway, so this is about the VISN system that turns something that's supposed to be military esque into a HMO. And what they do is they try to remove things from the source of our protection, which is U.S. code. So it empowers them and it decreases our power. That's what I wanted to talk about. This system really um, removes control from the veteran and gives it to the providers, especially those that work for the VA. And the DBRS system, especially, it was created. It's supposed to be for VA direct staff and for veterans. So both parties are protected. It was, yes, geared toward protect staff, but it's also supposed to be to protect veterans too, because it helps identify veterans with certain kinds of issues or whatever. It's not supposed to stigmatize them, but it's being used as that. If a veteran has depression, or they had suicide attempts in the past, or actually I guess that would be mostly it. It identifies them. Like, hey, don't bully this person or dismiss them, but they don't care. I read a case, an IG case from 4 years ago of a veteran that we lost by his own hand. He was flagged and the VA didn't care that he was having pain management problems. They just flagged him again, but they didn't follow through with checking as to his pain medication and his pain level. They didn't address it, which was one of the stipulations of his last flagging was this person has pain issues and it can aggravate him, and we lost him. And this VA was held culpable by the IG. In the end, the only thing that I think was happened was an administrator was administratively dealt with, and I think a contract VA, was it a physician or no? I think it was a PA. A contract VA PA was fired. Um, but then there was no market. There was no remarks or a letter in his file to not rehire him back. So you know they rehired him back. As much as people make comments, oh yeah, this person is just moved around, this teacher or this clergyman or whatever, they're just moved around from place to place. Well, things we've learned from investigations, into predators, real predators, we see the same behavior within government medical establishments, government medical agencies like the VA. Um, we see the same stuff. Oh, yeah, they were fired. Yeah, but they were hired 2 counties away in a different VA system. Or actually, it wouldn't be a different VISN, it would just be a different um, local VA system. Well, yeah, that's true, but they were fired originally. Whatever, you know. I don't see that as any aggressive attempts to rectify what happened to the victim or to prevent further abuse to other victims. But by this VISN system, it I think it takes away from our rights, and I think that it helps really, really muddy the water between government agency and HMO. So in the end, we lose, and we suffer. So I just wanted to post this about that system. It's not going to change, but I think it's destructive because we're not dealing with a company. We're dealing with a federal agency that's charged with giving benefits per U.S. code to veterans. Again, we're the only people that have U.S. code stipulations regarding medical care, housing, benefits, business loans, house loans, house mortgage recovery or emergency mortgage loans, which they're trying to do away with now. Because again, the current administration has lots of friends that are involved in real estate, and they don't like this kind of thing. And I'll say that right to them directly in Pennsylvania Avenue. I think sometimes that we see the White House the past 20 years side too much with their rich friends than they do with us. Again, this is the erosion of democracy, becoming a plutocracy, only a select few, an oligarchy, only a select few, and it's wealth based. But, we have these guarantees. I think I covered them all. Um, Nobody else does, but they're trying to muddy the water so that they can mess with our benefits. And then, oh yeah, the second thing, I despise ARUP Labs. I think that they are destroying the health, and they could go ahead and serve me. I'll give you my address, but ARUP Labs, it's my opinion that I can say that I believe that by them believing that they are better than the FDA and even putting in little anecdotes on their medical testing for the VA. This test has neither been monitored nor approved by the Food and Drug Administration, but has been designed, and the range is developed by ARUP Labs, Salt Lake City, Utah. And I don't care if it's employee owned. My former employer is now employee owned, and all that I've seen from them is targeting of my family. And I mean, I don't know about the veterans that I know who have worked for them along with me, but I know that at least the individual veteran themselves, like I said, I don't know anything happened to their families, but I know that they were derailed. There's no family orientation within the company. It's a lie. They're not going to take care of us and bring us back once we're better. We're forgotten. I'm starting to really um, just be disappointed. And I understand why people are leaving. If they have the money, they're leaving the States. It's surprising. This has never happened in history. The past 10 years, a lot of people are leaving and they're not coming back. A lot of people say, oh, that's Hollywood. It's never been like this. You know, just off the top of my head, I can think of a dozen people from the music industry, from Hollywood, and from, before politics, even sports. They're leaving the country. They're not living here because the direction we're going, the erosion of democracy, the embrace of fascism. And I see it, when Republicans choose ARUP Labs in 2020 just to go against and try to fight the PACT Act. That's the only reason why they contracted with ARUP Labs. That were so arrogant that they sued the FDA, saying the FDA doesn't have the right to tell them testing criteria, testing ranges, and range identification levels for blood chemistry labs. So basically, the FDA doesn't have a right to tell them, okay, this should be the general benchmark. This should be medium, this should be severely ill. They say the FDA doesn't have a right to say any of that. Oh, it's our test, we designed it. Yeah, but FDA and NIH, they're what protect the patients, you know? I don't want to get back into the history of Vietnam. Things developed for specific purposes that ended up being used that made people sick and gave people cancer, or drugs that had been passed down to people and come to find out they cause strokes and heart attacks or kidney damage. Corporate America wasn't there to protect us. ARUP Labs. And I'll bet you if I dug hard enough, I wouldn't be surprised at some of their connections through their investment portfolio are probably some people that I wouldn't like either, and people that really don't help us normal people. I would bet if I dug into their portfolio. We already know through the tests that they're designing and refusing to submit, to benchmarks that are equitable to other labs besides Quest. Quest labs are just as my opinion is they're just as bad as they are. Matter of fact, they even expressed interest in joining the lawsuit against the FDA. That's what I read in one article. Some of their staff expressed interest. They also have equitable testing ranges for blood chemistry labs, specifically for autoimmune. This is us, autoimmune people. Our tests are being evaluated by people that believe that they're accountable to no one. The PACT Act was passed by a Democrat just to make people accountable for what happened to us. There's some people that are much more affected than me. I know people that have been over there for years, deployed again and again and again, and the burn pit was right behind their hooch. And they come back and they're coughing and gagging, and they have throat issues, and some days they just feel like a brick truck fell on them. And they're said, oh, it must be depression. Because the testing ranges don't really shows significant inflammatory responses. Yeah, wonder why. Wonder why. That's the second problem. They arbitrarily choose, through government connections on Capitol Hill with various lobbyists like ARUP Labs, they choose, I should say, they chose labs that purposely derailed PACT Act veterans who are sick. They did it on purpose.